Yo, what's up, guys? How's it going? It's Jamie, Dean, and Kylie coming at you live from all over the world. It's another balmy, beautiful day here in Nelson, man. It's like 30 degrees. It's going to be smoking hot all week. Summer's here, finally. Going to catch up with, look at that. Look at Dean. Eat your heart out, buddy. Not the pipes,
Yeah,
the tan.
yeah, it's getting there.
Kylie, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I've had a really great weekend. So I had a weekend with one of our other coaching buddies, someone that I've only ever met over Zoom. But I got the luxury of spending some actual quality time with her in person this weekend. Went camping, had a bit of a coach off. It was great. It was great, and it just goes to show like the community and the friendships that we've built from something like this, being in a space where you find people that you've got that sort of like-mindedness with and you've got that connection with. And I mean, look at us, look what we're plugging away and building. So just goes to show you get yourself in the right community, find your right tribe, and all bets are off.
That statement, your vibe attracts your tribe. Man, when I first heard that, I thought it was so woo-woo. I even don't even like that word. Why am I using that? But whatever. It's so true. It's just like what you put out is what you get back. And I think that's why we met. I think that's why we're doing this. I think that's why we clicked. We were actually saying that like this wouldn't have been possible without like Zoom and like how the world just changed in the last year and all this stuff that we had to open our minds to be able to do this. You know what I mean? Like I was never a computer savvy network marketer coaching kind of person. I was an industrial mechanic that like wrenched on things. So for me to be in this space is like once in a lifetime thing. So I'm so happy with how everything turned out. What about you, Dean?
Yeah, great weekend on the beach. Yeah, it was lovely. Yeah, really nice. And started the week well. I'm officially an NLP practitioner, which I'm absolutely buzzing about. So yeah, it's been a good week. It's been a good start, and I've got a feeling it's going to get better and better. So yeah, super chuffed, super happy. Big shout out to Emily, who.
And anyone that's just passed their NLP
Dina,
practitioner.
yeah, there's a few of them. Dina, Tanya,
Woo,
Kerry,
well done, guys.
Kim, Janet. The list goes on. I can't say all their names. Amit. Who else?
Keep going.
Jeff, John.
Who have you forgotten?
All my lovely. I tell you, I forgot, and she's not going to be happy with me. But she sends me at least one love letter per week, at least.
Your favourite stalker?
My favourite stalker, the beautiful and lovely Shawnard. Congratulations, Shawnard.
And Mr. J-Dog, how was your weekend? Any updates for us?
So I tested out the van. For those of you who don't know, I sold my house. I move out on Friday, and I'm moving into my 1978 Dodge Tradesman, which has been part of my life for the last 4 years. I was a kiteboard instructor living in Mexico on the beach in my van, and now I've just fallen in love with it. I took it right down to like bare metal and like started building it up and doing different things for it so I can actually work out of it. And yeah, come Friday, I'm out of the house and I'm in the van. So this weekend was like the test voyage to make sure there was no creaks or anything in it. Got the bed thrown in there. The bed is mint. It's probably the most important part of a van is to have a comfortable, safe space to sleep. Like it's the most important thing. The next best thing is going to be
I would have
like
said a steering wheel, but
oh no. My van's strong enough it can just like bang off the sides of the roads. It's all steel. It's not this new plastic. We don't need a steering wheel. A bed though. And then it's also built around like my mountain bike. It is like fitting it in there and on a drawer and stuff, and all of my like gear, like my kiteboarding equipment, my surfboards. Like my van is pretty much a garage with a bedroom on top of it, which is my dream anyways. So now it's just on wheels. So that was huge this weekend to finally get it to a point where I'm like, okay, now I can get in it. Everything else is kind of finishing and adjusting, but like all the big stuff is done. Now it's moving time. It's like come Wednesday, I got to be out of here. So that's literally today, tomorrow, and Wednesday.
Yeah. So how will this sound? Maybe next Monday, our talk is all about the van, you, your story, how you left your job, I think that could be super cool and show people, look, this is real. We're not just making this up. We're not pretenders. We have left the rat race. We have left it behind, and now we're moving on to pastures new. And we can show you how. We can show you our experience, what we've learned, our mistakes. So I think if you're happy with that, guys, I think that would be an amazing episode to see you from the van somewhere nice and just
living your life of freedom.
Yeah, give everyone my history. I think we should do that. Have like one session for each of us where we kind of like delve into like us and like why we are here and why I'm hanging out with these two.
Maybe
Brits.
and maybe we get to ask you some questions, Jamie. Like Dean and I can, like, as you're talking, we can fire out some questions and get you to answer stuff that'd be relevant to people that were thinking about doing what you've just done.
Yeah,
exactly. No, I think that's a big thing with like those who are watching us. We've always talked about people resonating with us differently. So knowing my story and why I am where I am could be awesome. I'd love to connect with some of our viewers and like any questions that I can answer, and I can answer a lot of questions. I like to chat. I like to babble. So it'd be amazing. I think that's a great idea.
Sweet. Next week it is.
It's a date.
It's a date. So should we crack on with tonight's
let's
Quandary is questioning. Is that even a thing? I just made it up. It is now. So do your behaviors help or hinder your success?
This is interesting because your behaviors can help and can hinder your success. I know behaviors before for me that inhibited what I was doing was drinking. Like it's a behavior that everyone does. In my lifestyle, it was like work hard, play harder. And it was a huge thing for me because it was like it was what my life revolved around for so long. And I know a lot of people in the industry I was in, it was the thing too, because we go into the middle of nowhere. We're working in these dry camps in these remote areas. And when we came out of there, it was like, we deserve to do this. But now looking back at it, I was just like punishing myself over and over and over again, where now having a more healthy relationship with it, where, it's my life doesn't revolve around drinking. It's just that now it's a social activity to do where, and it can be a dangerous slope, but that was definitely inhibiting my progress because first of all, it takes a lot of time to go to the pub and sit down with your mates. It's an 8-hour commitment. You know what I mean? Like it sounds funny, but it is. So time-wise, and then all of a sudden, once I started getting older, it's days to recover off that, where like my mind wasn't right and stuff like that. So literally just from those two standpoints, it takes a lot of time just that now I can spend that time building a business, meeting new people, doing different things. And I am not preaching to like quit drinking or anything like that. I'm just saying for me, it was one of those behaviors that was pulling me back until I kind of stopped and can build a healthy relationship with it again. Then that's what I needed. So that was a very blatant one for me. That was like in my face. What about you?
Oh, I think for me, there was a few. There was lazyitis, just procrastinating.
What was behind that? You weren't being lazy.
No, I was fearful, probably. I was directionless, lost, stuck. I didn't know who to turn to, where to go. I knew that the rat race wasn't for me, or working this type of life wasn't for me. I was meant to be doing something more fulfilling for me. And yeah, I would say drinking was one of them. because it's almost like, yeah, again, like you said, Jamie, time and also feeling shit the next day. I know a lot of mates who are functioning, they can get on it and function the next day at work, no problem. I couldn't. And I'm what, 33, and I get hangovers now at last days. Yeah. So I think, yeah, there's a few behaviors. I feel lack of belief was huge. Thinking that it was meant for someone else, someone more clever, someone more astute, someone who knows what they're doing, someone who was educated. That was a big hang up. That was a big
That's
hang up for
massive.
me. I used to believe if you went to university, you were smart. And
They let me in.
anyone that didn't was thick, stupid. And I remember growing up and people literally telling that to me, you know, you didn't go to university, you must be stupid. And that just stuck with me. And I built upon that. And yeah, that's that idea of failure. Like I didn't do well at school. I didn't go to university. I was never going to amount to anything decent or anything that's going to be respected. So those habits or those beliefs made my habits a certain way. So I was almost like shooting myself in the foot based on the beliefs. And so the habits manifested from that and kind of held me back for many, many years. Many, many years.
But they don't now.
No, at the moment, no.
Yeah, I mean, not too far off of what Dean was just talking about, really. I got into this real bad habit of just thinking, this is it. I go to work. So it was a mindset thing, which probably then led to actual actions, as in I believed I should go to work, pay my mortgage, and that was just life. And there wasn't really much more out there. And I really got into that mindset. And for me, obviously, we're going on to create our own businesses and other businesses. And we've got this new word that's come into our lives in recent months, entrepreneur. And that wasn't something that was in my vision or where my focus and my thoughts were. So it was that real mindset change even of shifting my thoughts of, I'm not just an employee. I don't just have to put up with meh. There's a whole world out there for me to explore and to have an impact in, and that I can do some good and that I can have this purpose that I've been looking for. And actually it comes in the shape of being an entrepreneur. And as I say, that's a word that was not even in my vocabulary. So it's that whole identity shift. That's how I think of myself now. That's how I view the world. That's how I view what I want to be doing. But that's something that's taken months to build up to and get to. And then obviously from that comes the actions. Because obviously previously I was doing nothing about it. I was saying similar things to Dean. I feel lost. I feel stuck. I feel trapped. I don't know what to do with my life because I'm not happy, but I need to pay the mortgage, but did nothing about it. And then as soon as there was this vision and I was like, vroom, that's what I want, then the actions came, whether they were imperfect action, as in just doing something in order to do it and see some progress, or whether they're steps that have been well thought out. But I started to work towards what I wanted.
Yeah. And that's huge. And when you were saying that, I was thinking that it's like a lot of the people we surround ourselves with too are going to affect that in our behaviors. Like in our work culture, I know that when I was going to work, it was always a bonding experience around negative things. It was like you were always going to the water cooler and talking about, it sucks that it's Monday. We've talked about this stuff before. Or like, you know, it's like, oh, the boss is making me do this, or oh, I hate waking up. It's always like humans connecting around negative. Even on the weekend, you'll talk about the negative things that happened at work. And everyone's just like building this, you know, you go to the pub and you're just like, I just need a drink to deal with the week, like the work week, where it was like, once I started again connecting with like-minded people, it was very rare that we were like trying to connect over that negative stuff again. Like we're trying to like I know with this little group of us, this little threesome we got going on, it's like we're coming up with ideas and trying to like move forward and progress, and it's like such a refreshing thing. And then once I started doing this, when I started going back into, I don't know, I'm calling it like the real world, but once I started going back in the real world, I started noticing that more with people, where it was like, now that I was kind of acting that way, life was kind of getting based more on like positive things. And I found that really interesting how it's, I can't remember what the term is, but maybe you can help me with this, guys, where it's like, what's it when you, when say you're driving around or you want a new car, you want like a nice Lamborghini or a Honda Civic or whatever you want, and then all of a sudden you get one and you notice all of them driving around. They were always there, but you didn't notice it until you got it.
RAS. It's the
yeah.
Reticulator Activating System.
There you go. So it's like once I started acting a certain way, not even that I made myself do it, it's just I started acting that way, I started noticing it more. But when I was being that negative person, I noticed negativity everywhere. So that's something like I'd like to talk about a little bit later on in the future, is how like important that is, and how that mindset and what you see and how you view things is what you're going to see more of.
Absolutely. It's linked to your RAS, your reticular activated system. It's like a group of nerves, and it's where because if you think of it like this, you're absorbing about 4 million pieces of information a second. So your brain has these internal filters that filter them down. So your focus is so much fixated on such a point that everything else around gets deleted, distorted, or generalized. You know this when you walk down the same street where you live, and you'll see different things that you've never noticed before. Why is that? Because your attention it's only a window, right? Because your brain would crash like a computer. So that's super interesting. And the science behind it is actually called neuroplasticity. So if you focus on the negative, you build a behavior or pattern based on that. So you're only going to build upon the negativity. So you're training your brain to think in that way over and over again until it becomes your norm. And what's interesting, what you're saying, is about the people you hang around with. People love to moan because it's an escape. It's far easier complaining and moaning and whinging because you don't have to do anything about it. Because if you do something about it, there's nothing to moan and talk about. So imagine at work, if everyone done something about the whinging, the moaning, and put action in place, they'd have nothing to talk about. But it's easy, right? It's easy to talk about the negatives. It's easy to moan and whinge and talk about him or her and the company because it's easy. It's an escape. It detracts the attention away from what you should be focusing on, which is the hard part.
The crazy thing you said there, that there'd be nothing to talk about, that's not true. That's what people think. But if you took care of all these negatives and stuff, then that would give you room to think about things that are better, or to move the whole business up, or to move things forward, instead of like, it was really weird when you said they'd have nothing else to talk about. That really triggered me.
I was literally thinking as Dean said that, imagine all gathering in the kitchen and whatever's the beef, whatever's the problem with work or the workplace at that point in time. Imagine if someone went, so how do we solve it? How do we find a solution? How do we find a solution for this? What obstacles do we need to think about to get over this? What resources have we got around us at the moment to do something about this? There would be plenty to talk about.
Yeah,
because then the ideas would flow and people would chime in. And I read a study not so long ago that was, I won't bore everyone with it now, but it was about community and our behaviours as human beings. And the upshot of it is, if you put a bunch of people together and they start talking about their problems, human nature is that you're going to want to solve those problems. And imagine applying that kind of language, that kind of mindset, that kind of structure at work. How can we solve this? What can we do about it? What have we got around us without even necessarily having to step out of these walls to solve this?
But what's interesting is what you're saying is that it's human nature to a degree, but it's not in our nature, it's in our culture, right? Because as you said, our nature as humans is to work together as a collective. It's engineered into us, it's in our makeup. Yet somehow that's overridden by the culture, the environment, and then that affects our behavior. So if we work in a working culture that's positive, happy, some things are going to go tits up, but it's how you react to those moments rather
Completely.
than the moment itself. If you're in that kind of culture, you're going to see so many different results and positive improvements compared to a culture which is the opposite, which kind of witch hunting, you've done this, you've done that, he's done this, he's useless. And ultimately it boils down to, and I think this is what took me a while to get my head around, you are not your behavior. Your behavior is based on a state of mind that you're currently in, and that is not permanent. That can change. I can come into work one day being very happy, and as a result, I'm efficient. I'm kind of bubbly. I'm chatty. I'm laughing. I'm joking. The next day, I come in, and something's happened, and my state of mind is not where it was yesterday, and my behaviors and my way of working is going to change because of that. But that doesn't mean I've had a personality transplant overnight. It just means the state of mind I'm in is influencing and changing my behavior, which is having an impact on my end result.
Do you believe, this is an interesting thing, that sometimes people, okay, let's start here. Sometimes people are always like, you can change your mindset, you can change your behavior, you can change all this stuff. But do you think that in some instances, we as humans need to just like sit in that feeling without trying to make the change? I wouldn't say like for long periods of time, but say, like you said, yesterday you were happy, bubbly, go lucky, whatever. Something happened to you and you put you in this mood.
Yeah.
To just sit in that mood and actually like connect with it and be like, why am I here? Why am I feeling this way? Rather than trying to be like, okay, I'm just gonna like push this away and I'm gonna like pretend I'm in a good mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for processing the moment and processing your feelings so that they're dealt right and dealt with correctly, and there's nothing lingering from a situation. Because I think we would all agree that it's probably feelings and emotions that we've had, thoughts that we've had that have gone unprocessed and that we've not dealt with in a positive or a constructive manner that then leave us with things that hold us back. So I'm all about processing something and trying to understand it and accept it. But I think you used the key term at the beginning, Jamie. Don't stay in that state. It's like it's a process.
How did you learn to process, Kylie? Like, how did you learn to process those thoughts and those feelings? Do you think it's something that we naturally inherit, or did you have to learn how to do it? And when was it?
I think prior to coaching and even my own therapy and personal coaching, I had always been someone, not saying that this is a right way, but this is how I deal with it. I was always someone that if something had happened, I'd take myself off for a few days, think about what had happened, think about how I was going to deal with it and what the best outcome could be for, in terms of up here, like to deal with this and try and figure out my way. I mean, obviously now with where we've been, I would ask myself particular questions if a certain situation came up and certain thought patterns were happening that were not very helpful and were quite negative and putting me into a low mood. I mean, something silly is this thought serving me? Like, is this particular action serving me? So I'd obviously ask myself more poignant questions now than I had previously. But I had always been someone that had taken a situation and thought, how am I going to deal with this? And how do I not let this, ruin my life or be too dramatic or, or something? How do I process this so that I can move forward? But
Interesting. And Dean, is there a point when you learned how to deal with emotions, or how did you used to deal with them? Have you figured it out now? Like,
I feel that through coaching, I'm in a far better place. I would say my emotional intelligence has improved because I feel that was one area of my life that was quite lacking in the sense I was quite internal, suppressing emotions, bottling things up, and there's still a lot of room for improvement. Absolutely, I don't sit here and say that that's finished and done and dusted, but I feel that I think the most powerful thing I learned is I love the word process. I think Kylie's hit the nail on the head there, and to sit in it and not to get stuck in it, just to kind of process it, see it from different angles. But what I do is one thing is I try and change my state. So if it's heavy and I'm thinking in a dark way, I change my state. If that's music, if that's jumping up and down, if that's going for a run or whatever, just to get out of it, snap out of it. Because if I'm thinking in those terms, I'm probably seeing clouded judgment, and it's just not healthy. So what I do is I concentrate on the triad, and that's self-talk, imagination, and body posture. So I change those and manipulate those. And that's the first thing I ask myself. I get out of the state by jumping around, doing something different. I then examine what I'm telling myself. And that's probably half of the problem right there. I'm probably seeing things in a way that's defeatist, pessimistic. I'm deleting and distorting things that are not happening. I'm generalizing. And then I look at, I kind of, tie my imagination up. So I tie it to the fence. I stop that in its tracks. I examine the way I'm talking to myself and examine that. And I change my body posture. Not that I suppress it, but I try and see it in a different state. So I'm kind of more clear and less biases. Or less biased, I say, yeah.
Sounds like a lot of work. Because
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Jamie?
so with me, what I've realized is I don't have it figured out yet. I'm right now in this point of my life, I'm feeling like really good. But what I do notice, especially over the last 6 months or so, coaching didn't really give me, how do I say this? It made me really aware of how I wasn't dealing with my issues and stuff like that. It was like stopping and asking questions, and it really, they said this when we were like getting into the classes, and some of the people that I talked to, that it was gonna change you, open you up, kind of break you down, stuff like this. And I didn't believe it. And even when it was happening, I still wasn't like aware of it until after, where I was like, I don't deal with my problems. And I didn't, even when it was like, I'm not asking myself the questions. And it's like, even I'd go and I'm like, okay, I got to get out of the house. I got to go for a mountain bike ride. I'd go for one. In the moment of the mountain bike ride, I'd feel great. I'd come back. As soon as those endorphins wore off, I was right back to that same state. And for me, it takes so much like repetition to like for things to sink in. Like that's how I learn anything. It's just got to be repetition. So all I know is I know when I'm in a good state and I know when I'm not, but still unlocking that key for me to change my state or behavior is it's still a work in progress. And things like body posture and all that, I think it's like, just because I'm sitting like this and like up and like active, it's so much better than sitting like this. But it's like, it's not that you're changed instantly. It's giving me that time and that space to like let my body be like, do I want to feel like this or do I want to feel like this? And then that's like the start of it. It's such a huge realm to try and figure myself out. And it's like, it's a never ending road, but what I want to do is when I'm in these states is give myself space to like ask myself questions. And that's still something that it's like, I want to knack with, like, I want to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, exercise and stuff like that is definitely how I try to like change my mood. Just get out in nature, just get outside, just like breathe. That's it. The one thing I've always told myself is whenever I'm feeling a certain way, stop and breathe. which is so frustrating to me because it seems like it's so simple. Just stop and take 3 deep breaths. And it's not, it's so hard to like remember to do it. It's so hard to take that. Even, okay, right now, the 3 of us, let's take 3 deep breaths.
Feel
Wow.
like shit.
But it also stops the train of thought that you're in and gives you just, even if it's just like 10 or 15 seconds, but 10, 15 seconds of calm and potentially then maybe a little bit of clarity, or at least you can go back to picking up the thought, but in a different state.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that breathing right there is exactly what I want to do. And I felt that made me feel so good. Like, it was so funny because I like started breathing and I opened my eyes and saw you guys with your eyes closed and you were doing it. I'm like, oh, you guys are actually doing it. And then it's those 3 breaths seem like the longest breaths of my life, because it's like something that I'm not used to doing. Like, there's people are watching us and all we're doing is sitting there breathing. Like, what are you doing? This is crazy, you know? And
but it's more than that.
Oh, it's so powerful though. Like,
Yeah.
it was really cool. I feel like it's something that's underutilized. Like, if you're in an argument, if you're getting heated, if anything happens, imagine if those 2 people just stopped and took 3 breaths together.
Yeah.
That's it. Regardless, after that, if you want to continue arguing, well, then that's what you do. But you've given yourself that space, you've given yourself that time. And it's amazing. And like the study of breath work, I've only like seen touches of it, but it's probably one of the most powerful things we can do as human beings, is to like breathe. So maybe in the future we can talk to like an expert about that, because I'd love to like get into that a little better.
My flatmate does breath work.
Oh, look at him with the get her on.
Amazing.
Guys, I know what I was going to ask you. Talking about this and talking about behaviours, and I think I touched upon it earlier instead of Dean a little bit, but how have your thoughts about your identity changed, for example, in the last 6 months? And how much of an impact has your identity and what you think about that had on your now success or the actions that you're currently taking? Like, what's been the trajectory for that?
Go,
Massive.
Dean.
Massive. Chalk and cheese, night and day. It's been, and I think that's why I'm so fascinated with mindset, because all it takes is subtle shifts and you're seeing the world in such a different light. It's almost like going from cassette player to 4K HD. Like, it's like that. Like, no, it sounds dramatic, but
no, it doesn't.
That's what it's like, because like there's no fuzz, there's no like interference, everyone's clear. I'm seeing things in the background that I wasn't seeing before. You know, I'm seeing more detail, and I think that's where the key lies, the detail, because I wasn't seeing things. I didn't see opportunities, I just saw pitfalls. Whereas now I see opportunities everywhere. Everywhere I look, the people I talk to, and I don't mean opportunities as in, you know, a quick fix. I mean opportunities as ways to maybe network with people, you know, improve my life, improve other lives, you know. So for me, that mindset and developing that, and it's really changed the way I see the world and how I feel, how I think, and that obviously has a knock-on effect to my actions, you know, and then the results come from the actions. So changing the way you feel and the way you think is essential to change the result and the action, or the action and result. So for me, it's something if you're in a place that's not working for you, you feel stuck, you feel trapped or not happy, have a look at your mindset, because that's where it starts for me.
That identity was huge for me. Going from thinking myself as a corporate number to thinking of myself as someone that was a coach, a speaker, an entrepreneur. That's where the action happened. Because while I was just thinking of myself as this corporate number that was just a great big, just one little number in this great big world, and that I kind of meant nothing, I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't taking any action. I wasn't trying to push myself. I wasn't trying to set any challenges or goals. I wasn't trying to get out of my comfort zone and see what my capabilities were and push myself a little bit more. That all came with having a change of identity and thinking of myself in a different light. I was like, well, if this is who I am, then I need to do something about that. I need to put myself in situations that I wouldn't normally do. I need to be doing things that I wouldn't normally be doing. I need to test my capabilities and see if there is any limit. Apparently there's not. But that for me, that was the biggest kind of mindset change, was that identity. What about you, J-Dog?
My biggest thing with my identity before is when I was in the industry I was in before, I remember sitting and looking around and being like, these are not my people. I do not belong here. And that was all I really knew. I just like, it was always just this feeling of like, I don't belong. I don't belong here. This is not my place. Then it wasn't until I realized that a lot of my life, I really cared a lot about what other people thought. And I was always doing things to make other people happy. And in that process, I wasn't doing the things I truly needed to do to make myself happy. And it's still this thing I'm learning a lot about. And they always say it. They're like, like, stop trying to make other people happy. Just like do it for yourself. But like, there's this part of me that like how I grew up was like, well, that's selfish. That's selfish then if you're just thinking about yourself. But now it's this mindset that it's like, if you make yourself truly happy and you're doing it for yourself, then in essence, when you're happy, others will be happy to be around you. And so in that context, it's not a selfish thing. And so with my identity right now, what I'm learning is to try and let go of those old thoughts. And it's even come up with this van. When I started building this van, it was like my thoughts were, what are other people going to think of? What do other people want to see when they look in here? What do other people want? And it delayed my progress a lot, because I was always struggling between what I want and then how can I do it so other people will really like it. And once I let go of that and was like, I'm doing what I want, how I want it, everything started flowing. Everything started feeling so much better. And I'm at the point now where what I've done, I love, because I did it for me. I did that whole thing for me. And it was funny because it was actually my dad. I was talking to him. I was telling him what I was planning to do with the van. And he said, Jamie, I'm going to give you one piece of advice. Don't build anything for anybody else. Do it for yourself, because nobody's going to see the value in it that you do. And there's been a couple words of wisdom from my dad before, but this one really, really stuck with me. And it's really true to like identity and me being like, yeah, like that van. Now when people look inside it, they're seeing me. That's what they're seeing. They're not seeing me trying to be or do something for somebody else. So this project I'm doing is more than just somewhere to hang out and live for now. It's this me kind of like reinventing myself and doing things for me. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
It's gonna be, you're gonna show the lifestyle, you're gonna show the identity, you're gonna reveal.
It's gonna be Jamie Fest.
It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, and it's totally, it's and the thing is, this is the start of the journey. It's so funny because it's like every point along the way, it's like it's just starting. It's just starting, you know, and it's so exciting to think about it that way. But yeah.
So yeah, maybe an hour special. An hour long special with the J Dog.
Mm-hmm.
But
will you be showing your toolbox?
I was waiting for the hammers and the toolbox to come back out.
For those who want to see the toolbox, I will be showing the toolbox.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. Well, there's an offer that you can't miss,
Facebook
guys.
is spiked.
I'll be bearing it all.
This is how we break the internet.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I know, I love it.
With a van wash, a VIP van wash after. Soap and sponges.
Soaps and suds.
You can always count on Dean, guys. You can always count on Dean.
Good crack.
You know what we should do? We should build a little bit of hype, dangle a little bit of a carrot. We can't tell you what. But watch this space, guys, because there's been some very cool, awesome developments with the Freedom coaches in the last week. Massive. And if you want to know more, because obviously you do, you're going to have to tune in over the next couple of weeks while we drop some little nuggets.
Yeah,
totally. And on that, I don't know if we've actually ever come out and said that, we are the Freedom coaches.
We are the Freedom coaches.
Kylie and Jamie, we met about 6 months ago, and we built this, and we call it the Freedom Coaches, which is a play obviously on the word freedom, which I love, but it fits. Dean's done our logo, done a phenomenal job. It's gone through some growing pains to get together. The birds kind of flew the coop, but
we're very happy. We're very happy with our current logo. It's I think it's great.
Yeah. So, but for those people who are just watching us and what's up with these three? It's this is what this is us. We're building a business together. We're communicating. We're talking. We want to share our lives and our experiences with people and share our knowledge, and hopefully
Well, I think it's actually quite poignant because we've been talking about not outrightly, but we spoke a little bit about identity today. And I would say, as the Freedom coaches, we took a great big jump with identity this week. Dun, dun, dun.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Awesome. So exciting. So yeah, next week it's a big me episode. I love how you're we're gonna do an hour-long special. I'm so 15 minutes longer than our usual one.
Yeah. Before we go, I think to say goodbye for the last time, you're going to be live in your house. I think you should do a lap of honor.
A lap of honor.
Yeah.
You want me to just run around the house?
Yeah, walk around the house, just
This is the last time you're going to see Jamie.
This is the last time you're going to see Jamie's.
This is it.
The memories.
The last time.
No more walls, people. No more walls.
This is it. No more walls. This is it.
He's gonna be the face of freedom.
What's the fondest memory in that house, if you can say it after the walk?
There's a lot of fond memories, but it's actually not going to be what you guys think. That the reason why I love this house so much is it's because of it's because of this point right now. It's because of the fact that it's going to sound shitty, but it was a great investment. And now that I've made it to this point, it's allowing me this freedom. And this is what I've actually dreamed of. It's pretty crazy to think, but this moment of me moving out of my house and finally having a smart investment in my life that just worked out and everything went. I didn't see this coming like this, but it's been there. And that I mean, I know what you wanted to hear, and there are some amazing stories that came out of this house. But the fact that like I got here and like I did it, and here's a quick story for the end. I was working once, and I had to get a bunch of documents signed from the bank and some stuff printed out, and they screwed up, and there was $500,000 deposited into my bank account. And I looked at it and I was like, what do I do? So I kept it for like 3 months. And I talked to some lawyers and stuff, and they're like, listen, if you don't give it back and you get caught, like you're going to jail kind of thing. So I'm like, okay, I went and I like gave it back, and I went to the bank and I'm like, yeah, I think there's been a mess up with my account. So the girl goes and she looks at it, and she's gone for like 15 minutes, and then she comes back. This kills me. She's like, are you sure? At that point, I think it was the universe being like, leave, you've like deserved this money. But I was like, no, like I'm sure. So they took it all back, and who knows where it went. They didn't let me keep the interest or anything. And they're like, you should feel so good right now. Like you did a good job. And honestly, I feel like this moment right now is like my payback for that.
Yeah.
For me, like doing good. It's like the universe being like, we had to teach you some lessons around the way, but here you go. You made it. That's what I feel right now.
Yeah, congratulations, man. To live that life of freedom, to live on your terms is a role model now.
No,
well, you were before, but in a sense that you're going to inspire a lot of people, because I talk to people, I spoke to people today about you, and I mentioned what you're doing, and people are like, so many people want to do this. So many people. So
the exciting thing about this is I'm going to show people how to do it, because everyone I speak to, they're like, you're living my dream. And I'm like, this is so attainable. It's unbelievable. This is so attainable. So I'm super excited.
And especially after this year, I think people more than ever have realized what freedom or living life on their terms or thinking outside of what society expects from us. I think actually this year especially has given people food for thought like that. So Jamie, you're the face of it. You're like, look, I wanted it. I made it happen. I'm doing it.
Yeah. And on to pastures new. Woo. Excited for you, brother. Well done.
Yes.
Cool.
Really, really amazing. So,
sick.
And next week we're going to find out I wanted to say nuts and bolts of it all, but maybe that's a bit
the bits and bytes.
Yeah. So we'll dive in and get the
nooks and crannies.
Nooks and crannies.
You want to see all the nooks and crannies, Kylie?
Absolutely. Yeah. So next week tune in, and it's going to be amazing.
Okay, guys.
All right, guys. I think that wraps it up. No,
I think it does. Totally. Yeah.
It's been a wicked one. As
okay.
Always.
Sweet.
Okay.
Night,
okay, guys. We'll see you
later.
week.
Be good. Bye-bye.